Hey guys, it's Maxi, and this video is going to be way more different than my usual content, but I thought this topic was important, and I'm not usually one to make this sort of video, but recently I stumbled upon a TikTok, and the comments really surprised me, so I wanted to talk about it. So the title of the video, as you can see, is The Problem with Necros. And if you're not caught up or filled up with the situation, there's been a whole fiasco on TikTok and Marvel Rivals recently, where I feel like it's not really revolved around Necros per se, but he certainly did accentuate it and kind of added fuel to the fire, so to speak. So the whole fiasco revolves around the idea that the support role is the easiest role in Marvel Rivals, and that's an idea that I very much disagree with. My opinion on the matter, for clarity's sake, is that every role is equally difficult, except in different ways, all relative to the player's rank and experience. So for example, like tank, you gotta learn things like pressure and space and map control, while with duelist it's difficult in a sense of like mechanics, aim and movement, and things like timing or whatever, while support players' difficulties revolve around game sense and decision making. All in all though, all three of them get harder as you climb, and all three of them should be regarded with the same respect to one another. So now it comes in the point of the video. Necros recently faced some backlash over some pretty unsavory things that he said about support players.
This is why I hate support players, guys. I hate support players because they are literally allergic to good takes. They're just morons. They're idiots, and I hate them.
Some people were saying it's old and out of context, but to me it seems like he's doubling down on his opinion by doing this dumb challenge where he's doing the support only to Celestial. And there is so many issues with this in my opinion. First off being, this is dumb as fuck. I learned he was doing this challenge just yesterday from this very TikTok. This dude has been an all-for-one player. He's 1,000 hours in the game and has been grinding since the open beta months before anybody else. On top of that, he does have experience as an Overwatch pro according to Wikipedia. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he was actually good or like content creator good, but now he's making a fresh account and just stomping players who have a fraction of the playtime and experience that this dude has. While I normally don't care about smurfing, using it to prove your point is disingenuous and misleading. And what drives me insane is the TikTok comments. I've for real been fighting in there because supporters don't really see the problem and are kind of just like pushing this narrative that support is easy now, and it's just dumb as fuck. I want to state this for the record right now, because a one above all player making a fresh account and just smurfing and hitting Celestial on it in no way, shape, or form proves a point or supports his claim that the support role is easy. For example, in the aforementioned TikTok that I'm referencing that he uploaded himself, he's playing in a literal silver lobby against players who are probably still learning the game. And the comments are filled with things like, look how easy it is, he's just standing in one spot and not doing anything. And that's the true problem that I have with his approach. I know it's easy content or rage bait or whatever corny excuse he may have, but the fact of the matter is that he's a face of the game whether he likes it or not. He's one of the biggest creators in Marvel Rivals, and he is without a doubt the biggest creator on the most influential, flashy, and kind of like difficult hero in the game, which is Spider-Man. So by him doing this lame shit, he's actively making the competitive atmosphere worse. By him promoting the standard of demeaning support players, he's pushing that to his thousands and thousands of viewers and followers. Whether it's ironically for the haha rage bait or purposeful, it's still happening. And there's people out there that can't tell the difference. And this is the sort of shit that's making the game so divisive right now and way more toxic than it should be. Even his whole quote-unquote rage baiting cop-out is corny. By him doing this challenge, which in itself is disingenuous and misleading, he's like enabling his followers and reinforcing their belief that the support players are wrong and bad, and just completely invalidating the support player base as a whole, which I think fucking sucks. You're setting a terrible example for your audience, and you're actively making the game more toxic and unfun. And by no means is this me trying to knock down a bigger creator in hopes of like clout chasing. Like, I'm not trying to take a moral high road here, because I've been toxic and problematic in the past without a doubt, but I usually save that for people who are annoying to me first. Truth of the matter is that I'm still a nobody. Nobody really knows my name. I have a fraction of the influence that he has, but it really does suck to see how this is impacting players around the board who just want to have fun. There's nothing wrong with a player wanting to be a support main, and that doesn't make them any less of a player. Maybe they just want to rely on their game sense and decision making versus their hand-eye coordination. Maybe they just like playing at a different tempo and a different vibe, and they're totally within reason to want respect for how they want to play the game. Not everybody wants to nerd out and be an anime character and learn combos on the hardest heroes to establish their ego against the other team. And before I get comments saying, he hit Celestial, he proves his point that it's easy to climb, let me explain why that's wrong and dumb. It's a given that it was going to be easy for a player like Necros, who has been a top 500 player. He easily has over 1,000 hours of high elo gameplay because he was also a former Overwatch pro. Think of it this way. He's had countless of hours playing against the best of the best when it comes to the support role. Anybody with a working brain is going to pick up valuable experiences from that in itself. He's played against and experienced the support players who got good at facing the most mechanically gifted freaks, and they've learned how to shut it down and play against it. If Necros is a DPS player, naturally he's going to learn workarounds to those playstyles. As a dive main especially, he's learned how to specifically counter the best of the best support players. Whether it comes to things like baiting out abilities, timing, positioning, to like even understanding which and exactly what type of tech from each hero and why it gives the most trouble and all that. So naturally, it's going to make sense that he's going to have an insane advantage when it comes to playing against players who are just learning how to deal with such things.
Guys, how do I kill BP? How do I kill there's a BP on me? There's a BP on me. What do I do?
In my personal experience, people don't even start properly counter picking until at least Celestial, and that's literally his cutoff point. He's a dive main who's countering dive players who are barely just learning how to improve and learn how to dive in the first place. This whole bronze to Celestial challenge is a joke in my opinion, and it proves absolutely nothing. For example, I'm going to be comparing this to Valorant, which is a game where I've been top 500 multiple times on. There are 4 roles on that game: duelists, controllers, initiators, and sentinels. I was a duelist main, and I've even made it to the top 10 of the NA leaderboard as a duelist main. And I can guarantee you that I can climb on any role from the lowest rank to the second highest rank with virtually zero struggles. I know it's a different game, but I'd go as far as I can even do it with a sheriff only to further prove my point. That's because there's always going to be a big skill and experience disparity, and any team that I'm on is always going to have the odds tip towards their favor. That's because I've literally played against tier 1 pro players who have mastered the roles, and I know what it looks like and it feels like in game to see that role in its best form. So even if I have zero experience on a character or a role, I know how to pretty much mimic it if I need to. I have a general idea on how that player should be played. So unless if Necros is on his main account playing against players who are on equal terms of experience and skill, he isn't proving a fucking thing. Even Celestial is going to be below his usual skill level. That's like Ascendant and Immortal to me, which is like the 2 highest ranks, which technically it is still high rank, and anybody who hits it should undoubtedly be proud for accomplishing it. But for someone like me who's a virgin who was invested way too much time in that game, even those 2 ranks are technically going to be a smurf for me. And I'm not even that crazy good. Like, just imagine if you put 10s in that sort of rank. Like, he's going to drop 40 bombs consistently. That smurfing problem is an issue that I ran into on my other YouTube channel. I stopped caring about placing in the leaderboards and just kind of focused about playing with friends more, and it did bring some criticisms, which I consider pretty valid, but I can't really notch him for that. Except the difference is I wasn't touting some bullshit trying to prove my point to kind of like demean an entire player base because of it. It's pretty crazy randomly seeing all these people be okay with smurfing just because Necros is quote unquote owning support players. I'm not surprised in the slightest that there's a support strike, or that right now nobody even wants to play supports in general. With the rank changes being performance based now, the support players are even having their impact ignored. On top of that, the heroes that make the support role harder to play are getting buffs, while the heroes that have the best chance at countering those strong dive heroes are getting nerfed. Loki had his runes nerfed and Warlock had his soul bond nerfed. The support role is getting harder, their impact and experience is being invalidated and dismissed, and the role is being demeaned by one of the largest creators in the game. And that fucking sucks, dude. This community and game isn't gonna last if this shit keeps happening. I don't even understand how the narrative that support is the easiest role even came to be. I say this with full confidence. Whoever has that opinion, in my opinion, and I stand by this 1000%, is dumb as fuck and not very smart when it comes to the game itself. The support role is literally the lifeline of the team. It's of paramount importance to take out the healers to win team fights. There's only 3 roles in the game, and 2 of them have jobs to take out the 3rd one. There's entire categories of heroes in both the tank and the duelist role whose kits are literally catered to harassing support players. If the lifeline of the team always has a target on their back, surely that makes them the most important, right? If they're the most important, that means every mistake that they make is all the more costly in the grand scheme of things, right? If their presence has that much gravity to how the match is gonna go, and the higher you climb, the better people are at snuffing out that lifeline, and if you have all this weight of accountability and are under constant duress and pressure, all the while having to keep your entire team alive, how in the fuck can that be easy? Let's put it this way. If a duelist in a tank has a bad ultimate, it can go virtually undetected. Nobody bats an eye. But God forbid a support player messes up their ultimate. If that happens, they are public enemy number 1. There is so much a support player has to juggle and deal with that are difficult in their own right. They gotta be smart with their ability usage, especially ultimate usage. They gotta keep track of enemy ultimates so they can counter and save the team from being wiped out by just a single ultimate. On top of that, they have to manage to stay alive in the first place to even have a chance to pop that ultimate, while even in the same note trying to keep everybody else alive. There's this example that everybody uses that I want to talk about because I also think it's a dumb fucking argument. Some people use the argument of when a duelist is doing bad, you tell him to go support. A lot of people use that point to try to prove that healer is easy. The people who are using this in that exact context are misguided. If a duelist is doing bad, that means he's not having impact. That just means he's not having impact in the way duelists should be. So that just means he can be having a bad aim day or something. Telling him to go support isn't a knock on him or support players. It just means he can have more impact in a different way. If he's not having a good aim day, he can make an impact with his game sense and his brain instead. It doesn't mean that it's easier, it just means that the role is more valuable in a different way. There's nothing wrong with expecting a player to be able to go support because they're the same rank for a reason. And again, I want to reaffirm this because there is nothing wrong with a player wanting to be a support main and wanting to rely on their game sense and decision making versus their hand-eye coordination. For the most part, most of the support mains that I've met are usually just chill ass dudes, and I totally respect them for that. Not everybody wants to be a mega dweeb and just kind of spend hours learning combos and learning how to b-hop and just kind of learn the hardest heroes just because they think it's cool. Anyways, to wrap up my point, Necros is being lame, and his challenge with the context around it is even lamer. I'm not blaming Necros for the support problems, but his behavior is definitely going to be enabling some discourse. And I want to end it with this. If you're the type of player that thinks support players don't have skill, I think you're dumb. Thank you for watching.